Hello and welcome to Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben and as always I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And P.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about some obscure cryptids. I mean, obviously all cryptids are obscure. They're all rare, that's why they're called cryptids. But these ones are either A, only seen once in the case of our first example, and B, only seen very rarely in the others. Not like those attention whores, Bigfoot, Nessie and the Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Saw him last week.
Yeah.
Chupacabra.
Yeah. It's on Instagram now. Got his ass out again.
Yeah.
We'll thank some new return listeners first and then we'll get into it. Dorking in the United Kingdom, Salt Lake City in Utah, Buena Park in California, Johannesburg in South Africa, Medellin in Colombia, Dublin, Ireland, Frankfurt in Germany, Jerusalem in Israel, Port Elizabeth in South Africa, and quite a South African following. Mm. Bengaluru in India, Honolulu in Hawaii, I'll exchange with you if you fancy putting me up for a week. London in the United Kingdom.
Not you though.
No. Depends which part of London.
Fuck you, London.
I like
you
London.
Shithole.
I like London.
It's expensive.
It's fucking mental, that place.
San Francisco in California, Oldham in the United Kingdom, Northolt in the UK, Stone Mountain in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Madrid, Spain, Hashimoto, Japan, Boardman, Oregon, Guadalajara, Spain, and Ashburn, Virginia.
Japan, eh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Konnichiwa.
And they've stopped listening.
Any Japanese would I know?
I'm
Let me have
surprised.
it.
I'm surprised we've had any Japanese listeners since we did the Om Shinrikyo episodes, and I butchered every single Japanese pronunciation. Yeah.
Count to two. Ich ni.
Yeah, there we go.
It.
That's it. 1, 2.
I watch anime dubbed and subbed now, so I don't even bother listening to the original. Right, so we'll start with Sam the Sandown Clown. And
I just love the picture.
the picture's fantastic. You can go and check it out. This is from a site called Curious Archive. Interestingly, this was first brought to the public attention in the Bufora Journal in 1978. That is the British UFO Research Association.
Ooh.
So, what was that?
Well, they're like MUFON, I guess.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
they took the British version. And this takes place in the Isle of Wight. In Sandown, which is a little seaside town on the southern end of the Isle of Wight.
Beautiful little place. Beautiful
Never been.
little place. Oh, stunning.
Never-
Absolutely stunning.
I've never been to the Isle of Wight.
Well worth it if you're prepared to pay London prices for everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
The Queen owns it, doesn't she? I'm
Shit.
sure she does.
She owns everything, doesn't she, the bitch?
Well, yeah. And of course, it's a tax
I'm
haven.
joking. Love you, really.
It's a tax haven, isn't it?
I don't know,
So
is
she
it?
has all her companies and shit registered there, so she pays no tax.
No, Isle of Wight's not a tax haven.
Yeah.
Surely not.
I don't know, I know that certain companies used to operate out of there. Like, I
Maybe
don't
it
know.
used to be.
I don't know if you remember Play.com. I don't know if they're still going actually. They were like a bit of a proto-Amazon in many ways.
Yeah, they robbed
Yeah.
me once.
They were Isle of
Yeah, I know what you mean now. Play.com.
I bought a video game, never got it.
bastards.
Emailed them and emailed them and emailed them, and they kept popping me off. Never got my money back.
Yeah, well, that might explain why they're out of business now.
I never bought from them again.
They were based there for tax purposes. That's why everything was a bit cheaper.
Alright.
So before, obviously the primary source of the event is the British UFO Research Association, Bufora. They were founded in 1964 to investigate UFO reports around the British Isles. And according to their website, they are a, quote, non-cultist.
So they're a cult then. You have to come out and say you're not a cult. You're a cult.
I don't know, do you?
Yeah. It's ambiguous, yeah.
And the scientifically evaluative organisation. Non-cultist and scientifically evaluative. But they're a cult.
Yeah.
Nah, they're not a cult.
Anyone that says they're not a cult
They're a cult of pseudoscientists.
generally is a cult.
That's what
It's
you
true
said.
though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is true.
Well, I guess, you know, Scientology, Mormonism, they all say they're not a cult, but they kind of are. UFO cult? I want to join a UFO cult.
Christianity, mate.
Well, yes, true. It's all just a bunch of weird rituals designed to take away the money of fools.
There is a UFO cult in California.
That's
We
true.
covered it.
Yes, we did, yeah. I can't remember what they're called now. That woman used to drive around with a UFO on the cover of the car.
Unarius.
That's it.
Or Unarius.
Unarius.
check our episode, it was good.
Yes, it was. Now, the cover of the issue of the Before a Journal in the January-February 1978 issue shows a drawing of Sam who appears as a tall, robot-like humanoid speaking into a microphone hooked up to an audio device. The caption underneath dramatically asks, "Ghost or Spaceman?"
Or neither.
Or a crackhead.
With that in mind, let's move on to the story of Sam the Sandown Clown. The witnesses of the following event were two children, a girl referred to as Faye, aged 7, and a boy who's of similar age who wasn't named, but for our purposes we'll call him Harry. They were vacationing with their families near Lake Common in Sandown, and it was a Tuesday afternoon around 4 o'clock in May of 1973 when Faye and Harry heard a wailing sound similar to an ambulance siren. So, wah.
I think we didn't need the example, but thank you anyway. That's a different kind of ambulance.
One from the 70s. It just sounded like that.
I don't know, I wasn't alive.
Yeah, but you see old films, don't you? And the old sirens are proper fucking loud, aren't they?
Yeah. Curiously, they followed the noise across a golf course and towards a swampy area outside of the little used at that point Sandown Airport until the noise suddenly stopped. The children ventured onwards in an attempt to find the source of the strange sound, and they eventually came across a wooden footbridge where they had their first encounter with Sam, and we'll do a direct quote from the Before a Journal. A blue gloved hand appeared from under the bridge, and a strange figure emerged. The figure fumbled with a book, dropped it in the water, then splashed around to retrieve it. The two then watched the figure enter a metallic hut, similar to those used on building sites except that it had no windows, and it moved along with a strange hopping motion with its knees raised high.
The hut or Sam?
Sam. That seems to be how he travels around. He hops around, bringing his knees up.
Okay. Sounds like a kangaroo then.
Yeah. Now, Faye and Harry struck around the area, but only wandered around 50 yards away from the bridge when the figure appeared once again. And this time he was carrying a black knobbed microphone with a white flex attached.
So it wasn't a black knob ribbler.
I don't know if he was carrying a dildo. Maybe he was.
Sounding more and more suspicious.
Was on a black rib knobbler.
Why does it have to be ribbed?
Extra pleasure.
Immediately the wailing sound returned and Harry did the reasonable thing and started to run away. But the figure, perhaps realising he frightened the boys, ceased the screeching sound and spoke into the microphone. Faye, who had at this point followed Harry a decent distance away, claimed they could hear the figure talking as if he was standing directly beside them. They heard his voice ask as if directly into their ears, "Hello, are you still there?"
Creepy.
Continuing to run away probably would have been the correct response, but Faye and Harry decided the voice sounded friendly and approached the figure so they could converse
I'll just go closer to the freak.
Just go closer to the freaky clown guy. Yeah. The closer they walked to the figure, the more confusing his appearance became. I just want to point out this is 1978 it was reported.
73,
the actual sighting. We haven't got it at this point. Right, remember?
Yeah.
We haven't got the creepy clown.
The book would have been...
I don't think it's 73 now.
Did we have the Samiad?
What the hell's a Samiad?
No, everyone knows what a Samiad is, don't
think
they?
we had that quite yet.
5 children in it?
Yeah. Don't think we had that yet.
No.
Again, the book might have been...
Yeah.
The book might have been around before then.
It's like a little creature that grants your wishes, didn't it?
Yeah,
No,
lived in the sand.
Yeah.
No, maybe this is one of them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe
A sand genie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Samiad.
Samiad.
But then again, the kids aren't going to know about it at this point, because even if it was the book, this is 1973,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be aware of it.
No.
We haven't got that whole creepy clown. I don't even think John Wayne Gacy's knocking around at this point in his serial killer mode.
And certainly not well enough known, even if he was. It's not like nowadays with mainstream media and shit like that living in Isle of Wight. They wouldn't have known fuck all. They were still living in caves in
They were on holiday, weren't they? They were on holiday.
No, they weren't holidaying. They lived there.
No, they were holidaying. They were on
Yeah.
holiday.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh.
So Sam was nearly 7 feet tall and had no neck, for his head appeared to be wedged straight onto his shoulders. He
Sounds
wore...
like my brother. That's about it, though.
Not 7 foot tall and no neck.
He's not quite 7, but he's big. No neck. Hippo head.
Does he carry around a big dildo?
Most of the time, yeah.
He wore a yellow pointed hat which interlocked with the red collar of a green tunic.
He fucking wears that as well.
A round black knob was affixed to the top of his hat and wooden antennae were attached either side. His face had triangular markings for eyes, a brown square of a nose and motionless yellow lips. Other round markings were on his paper white cheeks and a fringe of red hair fell onto his forehead. Wooden slats protruded from his sleeves and from below his white trousers. And he's got 3 fingers on each hand and 3 toes on each foot.
Is that just a drawing or is that fact?
That is the
No,
drawing
they
of
do
them.
mention that
Yeah.
in it as well, yeah, that the only had 3 fingers and toes.
Yep. Faye and Harry's conversation with the figure was strange. As they approached with hesitation, the figure pulled out a notebook and wrote in large letters, "Hello, and I am all colours, Sam." Apparently he wrote this, the words mixed up, and he had to point to the words he wanted in the order he wanted them read in.
Still doesn't make fucking sense though, does it?
He's all colours, Mike. This is my first non-racist cryptid. They realised, after Sam initiated verbal conversation, that his lips did not move when he spoke, which made his voice difficult to understand. He asked the children questions, and they asked questions in return. They asked about his ripped clothes, and Sam replied that they were the only clothes he owned. On the unnatural whiteness of his skin, the children asked if Sam was really a man, which he replied no. They inquired further if he was a ghost, and Sam replied, "Well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way."
Fucking hell.
What?
The children asked, "What are you then?" And Sam replied with a vague, you know, without elaborating further.
He's a cryptid cryptid.
Cryptid. He also says that he has no name, despite introducing himself as Sam, and he drew a sketch of what another like him looked like, implying there were others Sams around. Sam confided that humans frightened him and that he was afraid of being attacked, but if he was, he said he wouldn't fight back.
Sounds like a pussy version of a Bigfoot, dressed in clown gear.
Well, he's looking like a Bigfoot to be fair.
Not tall.
That's about it.
He doesn't like people. Stays away from them. Scared of humans.
Now, we continue the theme of a prelude to a missing persons case. Faye and Harry accepted Sam's invitation to enter his windowless, metal-less hut. Oh god, the 70s was such an innocent time.
Yeah. Come into my windowless metal hut, children.
Weirdly though, they both said they saw workmen working further up the lane. The
Took
kids did.
no
They
notice.
took no notice, as if they didn't even seem to notice the kids were there, the hut was there, Sam was there, as if they didn't know a thing.
So the hut was there?
They went back later and it wasn't there. Could have been his spaceship.
This is what I thought.
Or his interdimensional travelling machine.
Like the Doctor Who and the
Yeah.
TARDIS.
It's just a big TARDIS,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
a TARDIS, yeah, it's a metal.
It's got wood for antennas.
Could
Might
some-
not be wood.
Could
Might
be some
just
kind
look,
of magic wood.
could just look like wood.
They accepted Sam's invitation, accessed by crawling through a small flap.
Maybe he just specially had wood for the children.
Boom, boom. Upon entering, Sam removed his hat to reveal round white ears and sparse brown hair. The children described the interior of the shack as containing 2 levels, the ground floor being wallpapered in blue, green and covered with a pattern of dials. An electric heater and wooden furniture they described as simple, and the first floor had less headroom than the ground floor with metallic flooring. Sam hinted that he also had a camp on the mainland, but didn't say where. He was discussing his diet. Sam said that he ate berries that he collected during the late afternoon. The location of his scavenging wasn't disclosed. He also said that after cleaning, the water from the nearby river was safe to drink, and he then demonstrated how he ate berries, which was strange to say the least. To quote from the Before a Journal, he says that before eating a berry, he performed an odd conjuring trick. He placed the berry in his ear, thrust his head forward and caused the berry to disappear and reappear at one of his odd eyes. Repeating the process, the berry travelled to his mouth, A possible explanation could be that he was wearing some kind of protective mask and analysing the berry to check it wasn't poisonous, according to Bufora.
Oh yeah, of course.
Or maybe he was just with some fucked up magic trick.
But then again, you think on the time of this, 1978,
1973.
but this article, 1978, you're still talking before Star Wars has come out and things like that.
Only a year after. First Star Wars was 77.
Right, sorry, I was thinking 79. That was number 2, wasn't it? 79.
No,
No.
it was 80.
Yeah.
And then 83, I think. It
Well,
was
my
3 years,
fucking
yeah.
Star Wars facts are on point today. Right, we'll forget that. We'll erase that bit.
They wouldn't have seen Star Wars though,
My
let's put it this
point
way, would they?
is-
Those kids wouldn't have seen Star Wars.
Well,
My point is-
1973, there was no Star Wars.
Yeah, certainly. But even at the point of this being written in 1978, there wasn't many films that would have showed things like that.
Yeah, there was loads of B movies, wasn't there, from the 50s and 60s?
They're not like with scanners in their fucking mask and things.
There's some weird ass
The
films.
first
back
kind
then.
of times you started seeing things like that would have been like Predator. Things like having a strange mask that can scan and see different things.
There was like Flash Gordon and all that, wasn't there? And
The day the Earth stood
Twilight
still,
Zone.
with the robot with the metal
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, I suppose.
But then again, these kids won't have seen many of those, will they?
Not at
They
that
may
age.
have done because the parents might have watched them.
7, 8 years old.
Yeah. I was watching,
Not in them days.
I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street when I was about that age.
Yeah, but that's just neglectful
Different.
parenting, Mike.
You were talking late 80s, early 90s, where we were. Yeah, I used to fucking watch all sorts.
Yeah.
Bloody Exorcist at 10. Scared the shite out of me. Candyman, that was another one that scared
Yeah.
the shite out of me. But my point is, there wasn't much things about that they could have just taken that from like a reference of
Doctor
a movie.
Who?
There wasn't that many. Alright, fucking hell.
Was Doctor Who around then?
Again, right, my whole point has just been fucking moot.
Was Doctor Who around then? 73.
Cheers,
It was
Mike.
in- it was in the 60s.
He was late 60s, the first
Yes.
Doctor Who, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Shh, let me have my moment, alright? No, it's fair
Sorry.
cop
Don't
though.
keep pissing on your chips.
But certainly at that age though, they wouldn't have seen. It would have been hard for them just to imagine that from something they'd seen,
I
kind of
don't
thing.
know, because it's like, it would have been like, surely children's books in the 70s, sure they were a bit weird.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's their imagination, do you know what I mean? It's an overactive imagination from kids, that's all it is. It's told 5 years after the thing.
Well, it's actually interesting because they are interviewed separately, the kids. We can get onto that, and they both tell the same story.
Could have been a...
We'll get to the reasons why it could have been at the end.
Alright, jumping ahead.
I think the kids are believable.
I think it's interesting.
Something happens. They fucking met someone or something. They did. Who or what or how much they exaggerated and emphasised things, who knows? But there was something, wasn't there?
That's
Or
true.
someone.
And
It's probably some guy who's just fucked his head up on acid, was living out in the woods as some kind of clown.
What if it's a disfigured World War II vet? He's wearing a mask to cover his face. He's only got 3 fingers and 3 toes left on each hand because he was caught in an explosion and he's burnt or something like that.
Could have been.
And he's wearing some mask and he's just obviously got massive PTSD and he's gone to live in the woods as a clown.
But the whole corrugated,
Where did his shaft disappear?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe he dismantled it and moved on.
Or maybe they misremembered where it was.
Yeah, maybe that's. I mean, they went to the area and
Or maybe it was a different area.
maybe it was a different
Further
area.
upstream and he didn't find it.
Maybe he turdist out of there.
Who knows? There's so many variables. It's just, anyway, let's see what they have to say.
After 30 more minutes of conversation, Faye and Harry bid Sam farewell and retreated back across the golf course. And they told the first man they saw that they had seen a ghost, but of course he didn't believe them. According to Bufora, the children were particularly convinced they had encountered either a ghost or someone dressed up in a particularly odd costume, and either way, they were very much under the impression that their experience was genuine. Or so they claim. On the 2nd of June 1973, 3 weeks after their conversation with Sam, Faye confided in her father, referred to as Mr. Y, about her strange encounter. He commented on the detailed description of his daughter's experience, which he was able to briefly verify with Harry, and how upset she was when he suggested it wasn't entirely truthful. Mr. Y thought an explanation of sound could be make-believe or a shared hallucination or a person dressed up to scare children. However, he felt a particular detail Faye gave about Sam, having 3 fingers and toes on each hand and foot, was decidedly too difficult for someone to convincingly fake. And there was also the important detail that Mr. Y had his own bizarre experience that enabled him take his daughter's tale more seriously.
Oh.
Dad had a UFO encounter 3 years earlier. 3 years earlier, on Tuesday the 20th of October 1970, Mr. Y was driving towards St. Helens on the Isle of Wight on his way from Shanklin to Ryde to visit a friend. To his right, Mr. Y suddenly saw a large, multi-lit, quote, aircraft flying low over the marshlands along the River Yar.
Yeah.
He pulled over to observe the craft and noted that a wide ring of 7 or more lights could be seen, each of them a large and clearly defined sphere like a bright red cherry and interspersed with a turquoise and a white light. No sound could be heard. Mr. Y resumed driving and the object continued to fly parallel to him, eventually flying around 300 yards behind his car while rotating slowly. After stopping his car again, Mr. Y got out and started to signal at the craft with his torch, although it doesn't specify what he was signalling or to what his goal was. So he's probably like the welcome wagon in Independence Day, and they're flashing the lights at him and it just pisses off the aliens, which preempts their attack on Earth. There's some fucking idiots outside flashing lights. What's that about my mom? You can fuck right off. Fire the laser. 2 years later, he had another UFO experience on 1st of March 1972. He was sitting on the cliffside at Compton Bay, having been driven there by an unexpected tidal surge seemingly caused, in part, at least, by some form of droning underwater craft.
Hey? He was driven there by an unexpected tidal surge.
I think there was an unexpected tidal surge and he went to see it.
Yeah.
It must have been like, oh, there's this unexpected thing and people went to see it maybe.
Right.
It's an island, isn't it?
Or I read that as maybe he was caught off guard by a quick tide and he was kind of trapped for a while.
That's a possibility as well.
I think that's what he might have been saying, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because he'd been driven there, he'd been pushed in by this quick coming in tide.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a possibility. From his location on the cliffside, Mr. Y spotted 2 yellow lights approximately 40 feet, peering up at me at the eyes of some horrible sea monster. While observing the phenomenon, the tide eventually went back out, freeing Mr. Y, who was able to get back to his car and drive home. So yeah, he was obviously having a walk and got stuck by an unexplained tidal surge. So, is the dad more likely to believe the daughter because he's seen these strange phenomena?
Stuff. Yeah.
So does he think they're after his family now? Now, interestingly, there is some evidence in other cases to collaborate with that, where aliens visit and abduct several generations of the same family. Almost in turn, so they'll have the mom, and then the daughter thing, and then the granddaughter. So
Well, they do say mental illnesses run in the family, don't they?
Oh, Mike! You're saying that everyone who's ever claimed
Okay.
to have been abducted by aliens, or have they seen them like the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter?
Well, they were just pissed on moonshine.
They weren't pissed on moonshine, they were shooting at goblins.
Well, they'll be looking at the genes, won't they? The DNA and how it's split and...
All of that's in Project Blue Book.
It is.
That episode, isn't it? Good episode, that one.
Yeah, it was a good series, that.
Yeah, well worth a watch.
When Mr. Y's daughter Faye had her own strange encounter with Sam a year later, he sympathised with his daughter's distress and considered how it could relate to his own experience. He also had his doubts that his daughter was lying. And I can get that, because he's like, well, this is the 70s, and if you come out and start saying you've seen random shit, like that, UFOs, weird clowns, anything like that, people
Where
are
did
going
you
to
get the LSD from?
that, why are you taking drugs, or you're clearly mentally ill and we're going to lock you up.
That would be the most likely.
In the 70s, everyone's just going to think you're a lunatic.
Yep.
That still holds today. I mean, the amount of pilots who've witnessed UFOs and not reported it because for fear of their careers or their people judging their mental faculties.
I'm sure that the pilots have all got phones these days, haven't they? They could, even on plane mode, you can turn your camera on, can't you?
True. You don't have any of that. That's a valid point, that is, Claire.
Yeah, but if you're flying a plane, you've got time to...
Yeah, once you're up
Depends how long these encounters last, though.
Yeah.
If it's like
Yeah.
swing zip past, then
That's it. If it's
no chance.
zip, and then it's off.
You don't actually have to fly the plane when you land it and take it off.
But better evidence is always going to be the radar readings. If they radio and say, is there anything around, any military craft? That's what they used to say, is there any military craft around us? Any military aircraft around? They'd be like, no, but there's something on the radar screen. What can you see? And they're like, oh, right.
more than likely they won't see fuck all on the radar, because you'd have thought, so if they can get here, they've got technology that's going to bypass radar, no problem.
Well, you think say that, but there's been a lot of radar
Maybe not
evidence
all.
to back up.
Yeah, maybe not all, but I bet there's a big majority of them that
know.
aren't.
Betty and Barney Hill, they had a radar reading for the sighting on that evening. That's 63 or something like that. The Washington UFO flap of the 50s, they had radar readings for. The Chicago O'Hare Airport sighting, they had that on radar, didn't they? Radar is seen as a, if anything, it's
One of the better.
Of course, that's what its job is, isn't it? To pick stuff up that shouldn't be there.
It's showing you something is there. And there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and if you've got eyes on it as well, and the radar's reading it, then you've got a thing, haven't you?
Maybe,
and I'd imagine that the Pentagon release, the recent ones, of the what they call them now, because they shouldn't be calling them UFOs, really, we should be UAPs.
What's that stand for?
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Right.
They would have been on radar because they were tracking them. They were sending pilots up to intercept, so they must have been on radar.
Well, you see, they've released all this stuff, haven't they? Like snippets of all this undisclosed stuff from years and years and years. Hence why we've been able to do podcasts on certain things like Eisenhower and things like that.
No, I don't think that's been released.
He was released and he didn't go for that dentist appointment, Mike.
No, but like certain information, like around things like that, there's been certain information that has come to light now that has been let out, hasn't it?
Yeah,
not necessarily that exact, but it's just an example.
They've been literally seeing one a day, haven't they?
The US Navy, yeah.
My point is, how
Oh, you
many
mean like
are
historical?
they keeping back?
Yeah, historically, I mean
You got Foo Fighters in the wall.
the Foo Fighters in World War II. Then you've got sightings at the NATO exercise in something like 1952, large-scale naval exercise, and they were seeing UFOs all over the place. Written down in the ship's logs, saw an unidentified object.
When it goes back into antiquity, doesn't it?
Alexander the Great
Yeah.
had the walls of a city he was besieging breached by 5 shiny flying shields.
Apparently.
Fired a beam at the walls and brought it down, enabling his men to storm the city. It's all the way back in history. Whether or not when they built the pyramids and all that, we've covered that. Check that episode out, listener. I don't think they built the pyramids, but did they pop in and just have a bit of a laugh, fuck about with us? Yeah, why not? See that? Oh, let's help that dude out. Let's put a hole in that wall. Let's buzz these bombers. Because why not? They're memeing us. They're trolling us.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think they're meme lords. I think they're trolling us. Now, when Mr. Y visited the... Oh, sorry, I'll read the quote from Bufora. This is from Mr. Y, quoted in the Bufora Journal. I get the impression that Faye was somehow taken into a bubble of alien reality created by this strange personage. He told them he had just made the hut. Also, Faye told me while they were talking to this ghost, 2 workmen nearby were repairing a post and they paid no attention to the weird charade as though they could not see it. So were they, in turn, was Sam creating some kind of a pocket of unreality around him and the children in his hut?
Like a cloaking field.
A cloaking field of some sort? What is it, a pocket dimension that they just sort of slipped into? You know, maybe that's the only time he encounters humans, is if they slip into that pocket dimension.
Well, they reckon that's one of the explanations for Mandela theory. The
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. It's that. It's like blips.
Yeah.
Where something pops in from a different dimension for a little while or some. So could it be something along those lines?
Or it's just people being really bad at remembering stuff. That's also a factor in that. I'm not saying that the Mandela effect hasn't got some basis to it, because there's some that you think, oh, hang on. But I think a lot of it is people just remembering misquotes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I do think there might be the odd scenario where, like, the Bernstein Bears thing, people have produced VHS cassettes with both spellings.
Yeah, it could be a spelling mistake.
Could be a typo, they could have been made using a cheap Chinese typist.
There you go. Could be anything. Or maybe they did change the name at some point.
Oh my god, you don't think they changed it because they're afraid of anti-Semitism?
Yeah, probably, because Bernstein sounds quite Jewish to me.
So is Berenstein.
Well, yeah, but
Maybe
Maybe the bear in it.
yeah, Berenstein, yeah, so you get that, yeah.
Maybe, you know.
Oh man, what a world you live in when a cartoon bear has to change its last name because it's afraid of anti-Semitism. Oh man.
That's the world we live in.
Yeah. When Mr. Y visited the location of Sam's homestead, the creature's metal hut was nowhere to be found, likely confirming Mr. Y's own suspicion that his daughter was taken into a bubble of alien reality. Or
Not.
not. You don't look impressed by this, Claire.
No,
You're not going for it.
I'm not going for it.
I think it's a fun one. I think it's one of the weirdest cryptid tales you'll ever hear,
Yeah.
if not the weirdest.
Yeah, because it came from the imagination of two children.
But then do you know that any other cryptid that's seen isn't from the imagination of the witness?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? There's a lot of cryptids seen over and over again.
The fact that Sam's only ever been seen once, maybe they needed
So is this the only account?
Yeah.
of it?
only account of it.
Just makes it 10 times less believable.
He's never been witnessed again.
Yeah, I think the kids were affected by swamp gas.
Do you know what?
It's always with the swamp gas with you.
You say that. I did wonder whether they'd like eaten a little berry or something,
Yeah.
which is maybe why they were
No mushroom.
tripping about berries being eaten by this guy. Had they eaten a little berry and it's made them trip balls, and you know what I mean? Between the two of them, one starts tripping and imagining things, and the other one starts
Who would have a
seeing
knob
what they're
on their head?
describing.
Of course, power
And
suggestion,
wooden-
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Horns, antennas. Who would have that? Who would even, choose that ever?
Some crackhead in the Isle of Wight, maybe.
Or it could be that.
It could just be some
It's
hobo.
almost likely two explanations for me.
I just want to say maybe it was the innocence of a child's mind that enabled the pocket dimension to open.
What a beautiful sentiment.
Yes.
Load of bollocks.
Beautiful sentiment nonetheless. Alright. There's a few possibilities to explain what Sam was.
Maybe we should each read one of these.
Right, I'll do the first one. Sam as an alien. Since Sam's story appeared in a UFO journal, this is probably the most straightforward way of classifying Sam. And this is what Mr. Y is implying by tying Faye's interaction with Sam to his own UFO sightings. Is he an alien? It's as likely as anything.
He's got wooden
No.
sticks coming out the bottom of his trousers.
It might not be wood, it might be some kind of something else on another planet. It just looks like wood to us.
Mistaken
I'm
for
sort of
wood, yeah.
imagining some sort of like Guy Fawkes stuffed guy with a pumpkin head and no neck. It's just a bit amateur for me.
See, I think if anything, this next one, Sam as a ghost. So Faye and Harry were convinced Sam was some sort of wandering spirit. When the children asked Sam if he was a ghost, Sam seems to consider the possibility with his cryptic response. Well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way.
You should have done the Sam voice from the start. Why were you hiding that? Sorry.
But no, I think if anything, maybe the ghost one could be more believable.
Sam seems to think he's kind of a ghost.
Which would also account for why the cabin wasn't there.
Yes.
Because it was just a spirit blip in reality at that point, like which would be a lot of people's explanation, like stone tape theory. I don't know whether you ever heard
I haven't
of
heard
that.
of this. What's that?
Stone tape theory is basically stone, walls, rocks, ground, the earth. It's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Most stone has been around for thousands, millions of years.
Yeah.
Billions, probably.
It's in a roundabout way. There is some element of it makes it a living thing.
And it's all kind of connected.
And is it literally, as it says in the title, stone tape theory? It's almost like a recording that the surroundings can produce, and this is
I know
one of
what
the
you mean.
biggest theories for spirits and ghosts.
Yes, I
This
know.
is why in your old castles and that are 600, 700, 900 years old, these walls are so old and there is a slight element of living to them that they record these life acts.
Yeah, maybe a moment of trauma has imprinted itself upon the tape. So, like, the Tower of London is 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
It's been a place of execution for the best part of 800 years of that.
Yeah.
Now, the ghost of Anne Boleyn is one of the most famous in the Tower of London.
Yeah.
The chapel, the creepiest one from there, can I divert slightly? Creepiest ghost story in the Tower of London, there's a chapel there, and all of the execution victims were just kind of, in nobility and were just tossed underneath in unmarked graves. A few beefeaters going around with the guards, they patrol still at night, go around, and they noticed the lights on in the chapel, as if it was lit up by candlelight, and they basically saw all these fucking people in period costumes attending a service, and he's like, that's fucking Anne Boleyn there. And you're like, it was basically thought that it was all the execution victims who'd been thrown under the chapel.
We could have been working long hours and...
Are you suggesting that professional British soldiers with over 25 years service and rows upon rows
Definitely
of medals...
no alcohol involved.
Definitely no alcoholism involved at all.
That's what they keep under their hat, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why they've got the beefeater gin.
But no, I do think stone tape theory could be quite a...
How does it project the image?
Who knows? Who knows? It's the energies of such... Who knows? It's one of them, isn't it?
I do like that theory, that some experiences are so traumatic, express so much emotion, raw emotion, that somehow it does imprint itself on the surroundings and then
I was
replays
with
it.
it until the imprinting. I was like looking at like the environment and what's happened in the area, but until like the imprinting of death on stones.
It's not so much that, it's randomly... Because this is why sometimes you'll see people just walking. Sometimes you'll see half a body and top of the body or something just walking, because potentially, years before, the ground was higher. So all you're seeing is what would have actually been seen by that part, kind of thing, because the rest of it would have been hidden under...
So say there was a wall there.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It's there now, so if you were looking at it then... When it was recorded, there was a wall there, you wouldn't see their legs.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it's played back later on, you can't see their legs because you wouldn't be able to see it then.
Exactly.
I'm lost.
It's a strange theory. Maybe we could do that.
Yeah, that's one to
we
look
could
at.
look into that for an episode.
It's the only time you'll ever get me to believe in some kind of spirit or ghost.
Well, this is it. It's basically saying spirits and ghosts.
I'm not saying it's true, but it's plausible.
What it's saying is they're not spirits and ghosts.
No, they're
just
recordings, yeah.
So it kind of goes against ghosts.
Yes.
It's almost saying ghosts aren't real. This is the explanation for ghosts.
How does it get recorded in the first place?
I really don't know.
No.
I'm sure if we look into it, we'll find the explanation for that. So we'll have to brush upon that. But, I like the ghost theory.
By the emotions thing that Ben said, the emotions are just chemical
feelings,
interactions in your head, aren't they?
Yeah.
But what if we're all...
brain.
What if it's like the astral plane and our emotions do project out?
And in a way, we are all connected, even with nature and earth and
really
the stones and...
Powerful emotion can somehow imprint itself upon the surroundings.
Let me just get my...
But the emotion that's what you perceive in your head.
But it's projecting...
I can't see you projecting emotion.
No, because you're not attuned now. You're not...
There is a
You're
film.
sat there with your fucking Mr. Science Officer badge on, dressed like
a film that's
Spock.
just come out that's actually like that, isn't there? If I remember
What's
rightly.
that?
There's a film that's just come out that's kind of like that. People like project that they physically see their thoughts and emotions or something, and there's one person that can't, or I can't remember, or
There's one that can't.
or there's one that can, or it's come out recently. I can't remember. It looked kind of good actually.
Mike, do you want to take the next one?
Yep, Sam is a human. Not to make the story dark, but Sam's interest in the children, inviting them into the weird swampy shack, certainly sounds like a kidnapping attempt or worse. But the fact that the children didn't mention being held captive or feeling threatened makes me think this wasn't necessarily an encounter with malicious intent. If Sam was a human, his strange appearance and mannerisms could very well have been linked to a drug or alcohol abuse, mental health, or similar reasons. Children are likely able to conjure up bizarre descriptions of people that appear odd to them.
Which is something we kind of all have said.
Is it the possibility that something dark did happen, and this is the way that, and this is a false memory their brain has created to enable them to cope?
Could be.
Well, that's what this next one basically says.
So Sam is a shared hallucination known as a shared psychosis or shared delusional disorder. It might be a bit hyperbolic, is that right?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about these children, including their relationships to one another, their family lives, or if they were even locals on the island. Well, they were hardly, weren't they?
So it said earlier, we can go with that.
Yeah.
What I've heard in all the accounts, they're on holiday. Well, obviously they holidayed there a lot because the dad was there 2 years ago.
But if something traumatising did occur to the children involving a male adult that day, the character of Sam might have been something created as a coping mechanism.
Again, we kind of brushed across that one already, haven't we? So,
Yeah. What's the final one, Ben?
Sam as a prank. Children get bored, and when children get bored, they make up stories to entertain themselves. I did it, I'm sure you did it, and children have vivid and wonderful imaginations. This could have been a childish prank that Faye's father took seriously because of his own prior experience.
they were just like, Dad's seen some aliens, let's fucking freak him out, man. He thinks he's seen aliens, we'll say we have as well.
It could have been that. I mean, it couldn't have been. It might not have been malicious, or
No.
but it might have been like, oh, you know, my dad's experienced these aliens. Why haven't we? And they made it up.
Maybe they made it up to make him feel better.
There you go.
Because
Yeah.
Dad, we saw aliens too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You're not going mad, Dad. We've seen one as well.
Well, like you say, at this stage in British society, clowns are what kids have at birthday parties and they're meant to be funny. Can't say as I find them funny, but they're meant to be funny. You'd have a clown at most kids' birthday parties in the 70s, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Wasn't alive.
I remember I had a clown when I was very young.
Did you?
Yeah, it's probably why I did not like it anymore.
I remember going to see a clown, Mr. Magic.
Mr. Magic, yeah, he was at my
Mr.
party,
Magic.
yeah.
Mr. Magic. See, I didn't grow up round here, so
He was a
I didn't get that. The only clown I ever encountered, his name was Mr. Fiddle. He used to make us wear blindfolds.
Did he ever put something in your hand?
No, but he used to have a trick he used to do. Yeah, he used to make his he'd hold his hand like down by your bottom and then you'd feel a little funny thing in your bum and then he'd show you his hands and you'd be like, look, see? Yeah,
Dude.
he was a great clown.
Dude, you got molested.
Mr. Fiddle.
I'm clearly joking. I'm clearly joking.
You got molested.
No, I don't think I've ever seen a clown other than like went to a circus and the ones that like pretend to throw a bucket of water over you and just throw some confetti. I really can't think I've ever seen a clown.
You're
Obviously, I've
lucky,
seen
though.
clowns, but I've never been part of.
I tend to steer clear of them.
No, I've been to a clown show.
They're out of fashion, aren't they,
Yeah.
these days?
I'd like to see like 50 of them getting a mini or something, like they used to in the olden days. That'd be funny.
There is one more possibility.
Another theory.
Were they visited by a man in black? Because the men in black don't look like they do in the films. They look weird in the sightings.
Men in black.
In the sightings that people have reported of the MIBs, they don't look like the fun guys in the films. They look weird. They look almost alien.
No, they're definitely not the good guys dressed
Nothing
in black.
like this
Remember that.
clown thing, though, is it?
No. To compare Sam to an infamous man in black sighting, we can look back to the 11th of September 1976, when a man in black supposedly visited Dr. Herbert Hopkins, family physician, in his home in Maine, USA. At the time of the visit, Hopkins was conducting research on a UFO incident, and he reflected on the incident in 1978 on NBC Radio. The character was as bald as an egg. He didn't even have eyebrows or eyelashes, and it looked like he had smooth plastic skin like a doll, except that it was a dead white colour. His lips were a brilliant ruby red, and he spoke in an expressionless, monotone, scanning speech. He constructed no phrases and sentences, just a sequence of words, evenly spaced. His voice was completely passive, with no inflection or intonation, as if you were hearing it from a machine that could talk. Then I could see that his mouth was a perfectly straight slit. Apparently he did not have what we call lips, so the lipstick was put on as a decoy. His mouth was more like a ventriloquist's dummy.
There's some similarities, but
That's it. There are
Raising my eyebrows.
the pale skin. Yeah.
The weird
Tick.
sentences.
Tick.
The other one had
The mouth
yellow
didn't
lips.
move. Yeah.
Yeah, but
He had
he's wearing
triangles for
lipstick.
fucking eyes.
But he's wearing lipstick, isn't he?
The Sam Down clown thing had triangle for eyes and
That's true.
little wooden antennas and nothing mentioned that.
Or maybe it was his black suit was in the dry cleaners that day. Oh no, because he said he had no more clothes.
They were the only clothes he had.
Yeah. Poor Sam. I kind of like Sam.
Should we go see if he's still around?
Let's go find him.
Take him a new pair of trackies.
Yeah, get at the charity shop for him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think he's underappreciated. I think it's a fun little British. We don't get many British cryptids.
No. Our cryptids are fucking real anyway. Like the panther. It's not a cryptid, but it's like, is there a panther on the moors?
So, yes, there is. Yes, quite simply. Yes, there
But
is.
not just that. That's about as close to a cryptid as we
Beast
have,
of
isn't it?
Bodmin Moor,
The
yeah.
Beast of Bodmin Moor, or the Beast of Telford, or whatever.
We've got one.
Telford tiger. Even though it's a panther.
Yeah. See, and listening before you were going, well, how can those guys just discount the fact that there could be these big cats roaming around or they could be cryptid creatures? It's like, well, because in the 70s and 80s people could own panthers in this country for whatever fucking reason. I don't know why anyone thought that was a good idea to let people own panthers and big cats. And when the law changed, they just kind of released them into the wild. And
A few have survived over generations.
yeah, they've either bred with smaller cats or they've found other panthers. So yeah, it's pretty conclusive that stuff like the Beast of Bodmin Moor and Telford's own beast isn't just Fat Tracy from the Lamb and Flag. It's actually just a panther. Yeah. But yeah, so I did find another little known, lesser spotted UK cryptid.
Go on.
The Owlman.
The Owlman.
Owlman.
Owlman. Sounds like Aquaman's crap fucking brother or something.
Is it Roy Hodgson or Owlman?
Owlman. Former England manager Roy Hodgson, yes, possibly. The Cornish Owlman was first seen in Manwan Smith in Cornwall in the 1970s.
But you know what? Just hearing and seeing that picture what he's done just looks a lot like Mothman to me.
Does
I was thinking
That
Mothman.
picture,
exactly like
I
Mothman.
am 100% certain that when we did the Mothman episode, that was one of the illustrations I saw of Mothman. But
Yeah.
this is an Owlman. Important difference.
Yeah. He does look a bit more fluffy than Mothman.
Oh, there's even references to that. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. But sightings as far back as 1976 and as recent of 2011. Reports of an Owlman stalking and terrifying a rural Cornwall village churchyard and woods after dark.
Do you know what? I've seen a fucking video, I think, about that with some Cornish blokes getting attacked by it.
I haven't seen
Genuinely, I've
You
seen
don't
that
camp
on
down
YouTube,
there.
and I'm pretty sure, if my memory's serving me, they were bloody Cornish as well. And I remember watching it thinking, oh, good acting, but maybe it wasn't.
I don't know, there's some videos at the bottom of this article which I did watch. It's just them wandering around the churchyard in the daytime looking for shit that they're not going to see.
Of course not.
Just trying to drum up a bit of tourism.
You know what, Claire? You might be 100% like Nessie there.
We ain't seen many folk round here much recently.
The
Let's get
Owlman.
some people round, shall we?
Yeah.
That's how Cornwall people speak, they do.
What, so they can moan about all the tourists. Like the
These bloody tourists.
But like
Not
Nessie,
from round here, are you, boy?
Nessie brings something like 50 million quid a year into the Loch Ness economy. Without Nessie, they'd be fucked as a community. So you've got to always look at that, haven't you?
The Beast of Bodmin probably brings
Beast
in a
of
bit
Bodmin.
of tourism.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised there hasn't been like a few more, elaborate hoaxes. For, like,
Let's
the
do
old
one.
the old Nessie thing.
Should we do one? Should we make an elaborate hoax? Listeners, if you want to send us in your thoughts on what elaborate hoax we should bring to the UK, then
And everyone's going to know that we're making an elaborate hoax.
all 300 of them.
The Owlman of Marnan, or the Death Raptor.
That's way better.
That's pretty fucking metal, isn't it?
I prefer that name.
Death Raptor!
I've seen a death raptor, Mum!
Has been described as a grey/dark brown feathered 5 to 6 feet tall creature, and its feet clawed with hybrid owl human-like features. A wingspan of approximately 10 feet and a loud hissing/screeching noise accompanies the spectre, and its large eyes grow a fiery crimson. The first sighting of said Owlman took place on April 17, 1976. June and Vicky Melling, aged 9 and 12, and their family were on their Easter break in Mornan, and they saw a birdman hovering over the tower of Mornan Old Church. Running to the police station, the girls were taken into different rooms and independently drew a similar creature of what they saw. So frightened by their encounter, the family cut short their holiday.
I'm not fucking surprised. To be fair, if that was genuine, right, you would shit yourself, wouldn't you?
Yeah, too right.
Maybe it was just a gargoyle. Maybe it's a gargoyle. One of the church's gargoyles or something
Hovering.
comes to life.
I prefer the Owlman scenario.
Or it's the same cryptid as Mothman.
Could be Miss Mothman on his summer holidays.
Nah.
He likes Cornwall.
Nice Cornwall, yeah.
Hey, the surfing's fucking good in Cornwall, to be fair.
He's a fan of cider
He's a fan of cider and surfing.
and pasties. Loves a pasty, does Mothman.
He loves Fat Willies.
That with his surf shack.
I used to love those. The stuff they used. I used to have a good wallet from Fat Willie's.
I had a t-shirt.
I think I had a t-shirt as well, to be fair, and some shorts. I think brilliant stuff.
It's just because it said Fat Willie on
Yeah,
it.
totally.
That was the only thing that was...
Nah, but it was the colours as well. It was always like bright, luminous kind of colours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like all different coloured Fat Willies.
Well, interestingly, that year, and the Fat Willie probably wouldn't have been open because it's spring, it was just started to open. It was unusual that year, cold snaps and then heat waves. There was a spate of UFO sightings and animals behaved oddly. There were feral cats and more dog attacks than usual. It has been debated whether Mornan Church is actually built on a ley line, which is a line that links several ancient sites, and the appearance of the Cornish Owlman may be a product of the Earth's energy.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, Don't bother.
My personal favourite theory on the origin of the Owlman is that he was invoked by occult rituals as far back as 1937.
So it could actually be some just kind of demon or something.
Yeah.
Why don't you go back to Bohemian Grove? There's an
Yeah,
owl statue.
there
isn't
is. What's the name though? Molech.
there? Is it Molech?
I think it is.
Well, when you think about it, owls and things like that are quite closely regarded with witches and things like that anyway, aren't they? It's like a familiar, isn't it?
It can be one of them, yeah.
So, yeah. There could be a connection there, couldn't there?
Well, even though there's similarities to Mothman, obviously there are, it does stop when it comes to the creature's supposed intentions. Now, the Mothman obviously has been perceived as some kind of omen for disastrous events, like the Silver Bridge collapse in 1967. But the Owlman is seen as a malevolent entity, possibly a manifestation of a demonic Phoenician owl god, Phoenician, whose worshippers were known to sacrifice children as offerings. I like that version.
You sick. I don't particularly like that version.
It's the cooler version.
You wonder if that's the same god that they're worshipping at Bohemian Grove?
Yeah, maybe. Molech. I mean, there's human sacrifice, meant to be human sacrificed in that.
Yeah.
In that
That's what they're
ceremony.
acting out, wasn't it?
That's what they're acting out, yeah. Well, the, Christ, what's the name of that ceremony now? Death of Care or
The
something.
cremation of care.
Cremation of Care. Yeah. That's the Owlman of Cornwall.
I like the church though. That is quite a creepy looking church and yard, isn't it, to be fair?
The witnesses on the second sighting saw the Cornish Owlman standing on a branch in a large pine tree. Now, believing it was a local playing a prank by dressing in a costume, they were then shocked when the creature leapt into the air and flew away into the night.
That's a good costume.
That's a damn good costume. There was also a crackling or static noise resonating through the woodland trees after it flew away.
It was Batman!
I'm Owlman. There were numerous and various sightings since, but not that many, including strange red lights spotted above the church. There's no doubt encountering this creature invokes genuine fear, but can there be a rational explanation? Mass hysteria? Maybe an escaped aviary bird rather than a supernatural
6 foot
humanoid.
bird?
Hey, some
Are they
vultures,
breeding?
they can be fucking huge.
Big condor
Yeah.
or something? Or
Not 6 feet, but the wingspan
Condors don't live over this way.
And you can notice the difference between a vulture and an owl.
Yeah.
Owls are cute and
Well,
feathery.
they do have golden eagles, don't they, up in Scotland? And they've
Do
got
they?
wingspans of up to about 8 feet, haven't they?
It could be a bunch of people not knowing what they're saying, or it could be a demonic Phoenician owl god.
Yeah.
I'm down for the demonic Phoenician owl god.
Or Batman.
Owlman.
Owlman.
There's Batman. And they think it's an owl man, but it's not. It's just Batman.
Well, in that case, this version
So
of
I know
Batman's
some
got
red eyes.
terrible branding, because usually you'd have the logo on his chest.
Maybe the real Batman goes a little bit more incognito.
I don't know, he managed to get a credit card in Batman and Robin. Never quite figured that out. I don't know, as Batman, part of your funding, because if Bruce Wayne's going to own the rights to Batman, isn't he? Think about it. He's going to own the rights.
Yeah.
As long as as much as he probably owns the rights to the Justice League's image rights and all that, so all the toys that are made and everything, posters, costumes, all comes back into Bruce's pocket.
Anyway, enough talking about Bruce Wayne, my arch nemesis.
Oh, Pete's wearing a Superman hoodie. Yeah, Batman beats the shit out of Superman 9 times out of 10.
How's that?
It's only because he fucking cheats and uses his
Kryptonite.
green shit.
Well,
I'd fuck him up any other time. Sorry, Superman would. I was kind of getting in the moment then.
no, he doesn't know, that's the thing.
I know.
It's tragic.
Bruce is just a cheater, isn't he?
You just give Batman prep time, so nobody can't stop. Take away your powers, what are you? Just a dude. What's Batman? A ninja. Ninja's gonna win. Yeah, old man then, that's it. Alright then, and let's end on South Carolina's Lizard Man, which the picture of South Carolina's Lizard Man, you can go and find online. I love how he's walking.
Stroll in the park.
He's just such,
Yeah.
he seems so happy. Look at him, he's just got him on a jaunty stroll, he's got a spring in his step.
It so looks like a man in a rubber suit.
It does, doesn't it?
Very bad latex.
Looks like some cheap
Paper
80s
mache.
horror film.
See, if it was a decent fucking picture for starters, that would help.
He would help.
But it's like one of these blob squatch pictures.
It's
Right.
pretty clear though, isn't it? That's pretty clear.
Yeah, but no at the same time. It's like remember when camera phones started, very, very beginning, you had like, it wasn't even a megapixel.
Well, this was 2015.
Alright, it's not
Like
HD
camera-
fucking quality, but I mean you can see the outline, you can see
Oh,
the head,
yeah.
the eyes, the hands, the tail.
This is 2015
You can
that
even
picture
see
was
the-
taken.
The tail looks like my mum's tights,
Yeah.
like stuffed with something.
You can even see his fucking abs, look at that.
My God, Lizard Man is shredded, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what this is? You know what that is? Always reminds you know that lizard that Kirk fought in the first Star Trek that had a really bad fight? Reminds me of that. Anyway, the South Carolina Lizard Man. Legend has it, the Lizard Man is a 7-foot-tall reptilian creature that lives in a scape or swamp not far from the small farming town of Bishopville. A Sumter woman named Sarah Brammer says she was at church with a friend when she stepped outside and caught a glimpse of this fabled creature running along the tree line. Because obviously saying you've just been at church adds credibility to this. The woman grabbed her cell phone and snapped a picture of the apparition, and the resulting image depicts a comically muscular upright humanoid with 3 clawed toes on each foot and clawed fingers.
Yeah, it's a prank, innit? It's just someone pissing about,
Yeah.
scaring locals.
Now, the day after the alleged encounter with the fabled creature, or a man dressed in a rubber lizard suit, another local resident released a short video shot in May, also allegedly showing the anthropomorphic reptile.
Video? Well, where's that then? I want to see this video.
I don't think it's loaded,
Oh,
Should
it's
be
on
there.
there, is it? Okay.
but it might be an overactive ad blocker, I don't know.
To quote him, he says, "I saw your Lizard Man story, and it's given me the courage to send you a video I took in early May," the man wrote to WCIV. "Though my wife believes that it's real, she said she'd be embarrassed that everyone would think I was a loon, so I kept it a secret."
Kind of fair enough.
There's a still from the video, I don't think we need to watch it, if that's the best picture of it.
Yeah.
The 24-second clip appears to show a dark, tall figure with a long tail darting into the trees. On the Monday, a man by the name of Jim Wilson had his own brush with it. He was on Highway 34 and he spotted a tall figure with a long, scaly tail, according to the state newspaper.
Was he hitchhiking?
Yeah. It was almost like an alligator with a short nose and long legs, he told Fox Carolina. He pulled over and began taking pictures. He then later saw it scamper across the skateboard bridge. My friend told me it's probably a pet monitor lizard, but my girlfriend thinks it's a lizard man, Mr. Wilson said.
I'm going with the friend. Pet monitor lizard.
Well, the legend of the lizard man at Skateboard Swamp was born in the summer of 1988 when 17-year-old Christopher Davis claimed to have spotted a 7-foot-tall beast while changing a flat tyre overnight, according to the College of Charleston. Davis said the hulking-like lizard monster charged at him and leapt on the hood of his car, leaving scratch marks on the roof and damaging a side mirror.
Is this while he was fixing his tyre?
Yes.
I'm watching a recreation of it right now.
And in 2008, Bob and Dixie Rawson blamed Lizard Man for clawing their minivan. And local law enforcement authorities have of course looked into the reports and found no concrete evidence proving the existence of the towering bipedal reptile.
What a surprise.
Right.
And there's some plaster casts found, whether or not they've been faked or not, who knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like toast.
Just
It was.
Ooh, toast. There you go, there's some rare cryptids. Some obscure ones, some like the attention-hungry ones we're used to seeing.
Bit different. Same old bollocks though, innit?
I like Sam.
You hate clowns?
Yeah, I know. But I like the fact that, you know, I think it's a cool story.
That's what it is though, isn't it?
That's it. That is what
It's a story. It's a great story, but
I don't know, I like Sam. I think there's something to Sam.
we're not Lizard Man or Owl Man.
No, not Lizard Man. Although I do like the fact that Owl Man could be a demonic avatar of an ancient god.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's not though, is it?
Occult rituals from the 30s, like Gozer worshippers in Ghostbusters. They try to summon a fucking god through a portal. End up with Owl Man.
Just a big escaped bird or somewhere. That's what it is.
God, where's your wonders of the universe, Mike? Where's open your mind?
Look, I can't say for definite that it isn't.
Good enough for me.
It's not probable though, is it?
But no, technically I'm on the fence, but it's 99.9% off it.
So you've just left the buttock hair on there.
Yeah.
Claire?
Yeah, I think all three are bollocks, aren't they? But the fact that, you know, the first two come from two sets of children, and then this, like, you know, these last ones, you know, and especially
You're not
that.
convinced by that photograph?
No.
Did you just give it a church, Claire?
I'm well convinced of the photograph, I am.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
You being sarcastic?
It's the most convincing chupacabra I've ever seen.
But it's not Chupacabra.
Oh. No, it's definitely fucking fake then.
It's clearly a guy.
No, it's clearly some fucking dude in a rubber suit.
I just love the strut he's got on. If a lizard man can express joy,
Yep.
he's got it on his face.
Here's another thing, what's pissed me off about this, right? If you're quick enough to get your fucking phone out and take a picture of it, why aren't you recording it?
That's a valid point. It's 2015,
How
she's got a video
fucking
camera.
stupid are you? Not
She has just come out of church.
The first one took a picture, the second person did the video.
Yeah, but the first one who had that really clear picture of it, strutting, looking at her, posing for her, flexing its
He
fucking
was flexing
pecs.
one, he's got a flex on.
Why the fuck she didn't go video?
I bet.
Whoa! That would have been a lot more impressive.
Well, I bet she didn't take that photo. She took it from a still of some weird Japanese 1970s sci-fi film.
Does actually look like something out
Yeah.
of Power Rangers.
Does a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the look it's got. But in answer to the question, how stupid is she? She has just come out of a church.
That's a fair point. Maybe she thought it was that Jesus God thing.
Oh man, imagine if that was Jesus.
Jesus is the lizard man.
Yeah.
We've cracked it.
It certainly wasn't a white dude, was he? Let's face it.
No. No, he wasn't.
More likely to look like a Muhammad than a fucking James or something, isn't he?
Exactly. Right. Are you getting fucked up facts or are we going to show there?
Oh, fucked up facts.
Theme tune, please.
Facts, fucked up facts. Facts.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Peach, I guess he's a eunuch there.
That is about as high as I can go.
So you can be a member of the castrati, we're not going to judge you.
Might as well be. Fucking hell.
Go on then, Mike. Hit us with some facts.
The COP26 climate conference was estimated to have a carbon footprint of 102,500 tonnes, equivalent to the annual average emissions of 8,000 Britons.
Whoa.
Well, by the time everyone's flown there on their own private jets.
Yep. Boris took a private jet, London to Glasgow, didn't he?
That's right. Then, of course, you've got the limos from the airport, all the choppers from the airport to the location. And then limos aren't exactly a small engine, you'd be talking probably a Jag.
You got to think of all the lorries and trucks to truck in all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the equipment, all of the food, all of the booze, all
the workers who come and installed everything there.
everything like that. There would have been hundreds and hundreds of people behind the scenes.
Yeah, they've all got to travel there.
It's obvious they don't take it seriously, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They could have just done it on a video call.
Yeah.
Video
Zoom
conference.
Yeah.
Also do you remember the second Live Aid, which is about climate change? That was carbon negative as well, because all those performers flew there on private jets.
Just joking it.
So it's like, yeah, let's stop climate change.
They should have all done a Thunberg and gone in a little boat, come in a dinghy.
Well, couldn't they have travelled together? Some of them must live in the same sort of area, surely.
Or
It's just inconvenience to these people.
Or
They don't
just
care.
go on a plane that's already going there, like most normal humans do.
I don't know,
Go
man.
to an airport and
Do you see Mike Tyson beating up that plane passenger? He tried to fly on a normal plane. They posed a selfie with him, and he says he used to kept harassing him from behind the seat until Tyson snapped and just come over the seat and started punching him in the head.
It's got to be a setup, that, hasn't it?
Probably, but still got it.
Well, they could do what Greta Thunberg did. Took a sailboat.
that's what I was saying. Do a Thunberg and just
Oh, I think it was Thunberg. I think it was like hitchhiking or something. Greta Thunberg or whatever.
what did I say?
Thunberg.
I did say Thunberg, didn't I?
Yeah, I didn't
Isn't that
get
a
you.
name?
I think it's Thunberg. I don't know.
Either way, that little Greta woman, that little girl, but she's not a girl anymore, is she? She's probably about 20.
Who's it, 16,
It's about
17?
17, 18, yeah.
Either way, she's an annoyance. But yeah, they should have done what she did.
Well, I bet you we wouldn't be even this far into commitments and things if it wasn't for her.
No.
She's
I find her annoying, but I don't dispute on what she's achieved.
trying to save her future and the future of her friends, and
How dare you?
Has anyone heard the dance song of her sort of like
I haven't,
overlaid and that laugh?
No, I haven't, but you know what? I'm going to find it after. How dare you?
How you dare! Yeah, how dare you! How dare you! Like that, repeated.
We so got to find that in a bit.
yeah, well, fair play to her. I never criticise anyone
totally.
fighting for their
No,
beliefs.
absolutely not.
I just think she's just a bit annoying.
She's a bit annoying, though, isn't she?
But
I think it's because everyone made her into a meme and she's got a bit of a sour face.
I think that's what I.
She does have a sour face, you're
That's
right.
what I
She always
find
looks pissed
annoying
off.
about her. She can never smile, and I know she's doing serious stuff, but at least smile, girl.
Yeah, well, if she wants to go on a
Simple.
if she wants to go on a catamaran across the Atlantic, that's up to her. I'm taking a jet. I'm not doing that.
But she can at least smile doing it. She's saving the planet. She should be smiling.
Next fact.
Yeah, go on then.
A Victorian sewer worker once proved he'd found a tunnel into the Bank of England's gold vaults, and for his honesty was given 800 quid,
What?
which is about £90,000 in today's money.
Honestly,
That's
the
himself
best
for life
policy.
then, basically, isn't it?
Well, no, he could have got millions, couldn't he?
Yeah, but he's in that day, like, that's enough for him to never work again.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
£90,000 and you
Yeah,
never
back
work
then,
again?
yeah. What year was it?
Victorian.
Yeah,
times,
that's a lot of money, yeah.
No, £90,000 nowadays you could never work again if you got like given that.
If I have to do
No,
part-time.
but in them
That's 'cause
days-
in them days, yeah,
I'm
you
just
could
saying-
have.
He gave
No,
him-
that's the equivalent. You said them days. Them days was 800 quid. Today's money, it's like us giving us £90,000.
Oh, right.
It's nice,
But
but you can't retire on it, can you?
no, but
No, you buy
800
yourself
quid in
houses,
them
isn't it?
days, they'd have been able to buy a couple of houses. for
No,
that.
because that's inflation.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they'd have been able to buy a couple of houses for a couple hundred quid each. In them days, 1800s.
Well, maybe, actually.
Yeah, you would.
1800s, a
But-
couple hundred quid would have bought them a house.
Yeah.
90,000, you can buy a couple of houses now.
How?
Nah.
Yeah, you could buy a couple of flats with that.
No.
Maybe just a
Just
one
about.
bedroom little.
No, you can't.
Tiny
You can't. There's a
flats.
flat down the road I looked at, 65,000, same as this
Yeah.
one we're in now.
Yeah,
One
Yeah,
bed.
I said-
I'm talking dilapidated.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, it'd
talking
be
about the rough
awful.
areas. You could.
You'd have to spend some money to do them up. But
Yeah.
you could do it. But he'd have had change still. That's my point. He'd have still had probably 400 quid left.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could have sorted. It would have
He could have-
sorted you
he-
fucking right out.
He could have
So
become a
fair
slum
play.
landlord. Sorted himself right out.
Yeah.
You would think what he could have got with all the gold.
Well, yes,
But
but
obviously there's the problem
But
you get
the risk.
caught. Yeah, the risk.
The risk involved.
I mean, you could get one bit of gold. You could get one gold bar out, couldn't you?
How much is one gold bar worth?
Whatever
Probably
the price
not.
of gold is at the time, I guess.
do you know what? They probably gave him an equivalent to a gold bar.
Yeah.
You'll
You
find.
could be onto something there, yeah.
You'd find they probably gave him equivalent to a gold bar.
You could have, snuck two out.
But then again, think about it. He's a sewer worker in Victorian times. If he does get a bar of gold out, right? How's he gonna get?
How's he
anything
gonna shift that?
How's he gonna shift it?
Yeah.
How's he gonna make? Because which of the local pawn shops, jewellers, whatever, are gonna take this poor bloke coming in with a fucking bar of gold stamped, probably with Bank of England on it?
Oh, I'd be
So-
going to a different country straight off.
How are you gonna get there? You got no money. You're poor as fuck apart from this bar of gold.
Chop a little bit off here, melt a little bit, make yourself a couple of gold
You
coins.
can't do that. That's why coins have milled edges, because that's how people used to amass large quantities of gold, is chipping bits off coins. That's why you can't do it anymore. That's why they have the milled edges. So you're stuck with a bar of gold and no money. They could have given more though. You are right. They should have given more.
Someone will buy a bar of gold off you. You probably won't get market value,
No, that's it. So you.
but even if you get, I don't know. Anyway.
What's to say they just shoot you and take the gold anyway?
Well, yeah.
The beauty of this is
You go to some aristocrat who's willing to give you cash for it, and he just shoots you and takes the gold, or he shops you for trying to sell you a bar of gold. Sell a bar of gold.
the beauty
Yeah.
of this story is he was honest and he got rewarded.
Yeah.
And
He could have had more.
He got handsomely rewarded.
He was handsomely rewarded, but he could have been more. They could have given him two.
Yeah.
A French power station that makes enough electricity for about 1,500 homes is powered by the byproducts of the cheese industry.
I knew you were going to say cheese. Brilliant.
Cheese and
what shall
surrender.
we use that cheese for now? We're taking over the world with it. Let's make some power.
See, I almost think there's the opposite. I think the French would be horrified at having to give up their cheese to power their homes.
What happens if it's waste cheese?
Well, yeah,
Waste cheese.
maybe it must be.
But in France, do you have waste cheese?
Just gets mouldy.
No, there's no there's cheese here.
You were German then.
No, I'm not.
Kind of Kaiser.
Maybe it's the Germans
I like
infiltrating France. We will get rid of this cheese somehow.
I like the idea of it because it's renewable, but at the same time, well, it's not this. Actually, no.
You
If you
can't
think of the
do
carbon,
the
think of the carbon footprint of it powers 1,500 homes. That's not a lot, comparatively.
How much cheese
Right?
do they use?
How much cheese? Then you've got the carbon footprint of the cows, which are one of the biggest carbon
Yeah.
footprints. The methane from the cows.
Yeah.
Does it break even? Is what I want to know.
No, but before they did that, it was all that energy was just being wasted. Now, not only are you getting
That wasted
lovely
energy is
cheese,
being used.
Yeah.
1,500 homes at the same, so it might not bring it carbon neutral, but it's a damn sight more than it was before.
I'd love to work
Cool
there.
idea.
Yeah.
Cool idea.
I'd work there, like one for the generator, one for me, one for one for me. I'd just be really fucking fat
Eating little coins of
and
cheese.
lactose intolerant for about 6 months.
Got a flash of Homer. I just had a flash of Homer when he starts working from home, doesn't he? He wants to be disabled.
Hey, I just triple my. I can only press Y. I have to type yes. Hey, I just tripled my productivity. Don't be horrified, Marge. I'm secretly gaining 200 pounds so I can work from home and have a disability.
The Australian orb-weaving spider is commonly known as the alien butt spider.
Does it go in your butt?
Its butt does look like an alien's face. Yeah, I've seen it
It's
before.
like a little gooseberry with
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow.
mad. It's mad.
growing on eyes.
You know what?
It's pretty cute, I think.
You
Actually.
instead end up fucking squashed under a rolled up newspaper.
Poor Spiggy.
Maybe that should be the mascot
Mm.
Of what?
of the show.
Fuck that.
You know, I've got a mascot.
Don't do spiders.
Alright. As long as they're not deadly.
Nope, they can go back to the hell from which they crawled, and I'll send them there with fire if I have to.
They kill flies.
I can do that.
They'll be in your house. Well, they're always in your house, aren't they?
Yeah. They don't last long either. I've got a cat.
Get one of those tennis ball fly spotters. Tennis bat fly spotters.
Got one. Not as good as you think.
What happens when you put your tongue on it?
I haven't tried it. Not brave enough to try it, to be honest. If it can kill a fly, I don't want it shocking me.
Put on your balls.
I've done that. That was just my own personal pleasure.
That was pleasurable.
That was nice.
Zap your balls just as you're about to come.
You've been watching me.
It's like the smell of singed pubes, but
I've been filming it. Sorry.
Weird.
he's got one of the nanny cams in that teddy bear you've got in the corner of your room. Didn't you think it was odd when he bought you a teddy bear for Christmas?
I did wonder.
Well,
The way its eyes glow red at night.
there you go.
Oh, I've touched an electric fence before with anyone else.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate. I was in France and I was about 9 years old, renting a house from friends, mum and dad's friend that they had. It was a holiday home, and the next door neighbour was a proper French person, still had a bit of farmland and things like that. We were playing with the kids, and I thought my brother had hit me with a spade because he was just digging away, playing about, and I thought he'd hit me on the shoulder with a spade. He hadn't,
You
because
walked into it.
no, I'd grabbed hold of this because I was going to climb over it. Didn't realise it was an electrified fence, and I just touched it with the right arm, and then this big jolt came through. But that's what I thought had happened. He'd twatted me with the fucking spade, and I was like, look round. He was obviously nowhere near me, and then obviously I realised what it was. It's like shit.
You stupid English pig.
And I bet it was probably more powerful than the ones we have here as well, because I think you'll find, especially in the early 90s, it was
I got my finger on it.
Stupid
It felt
roast
like-
beef.
Felt like someone had catapulted my finger and just hit the you could almost see the when you think it over in your mind, you can see the electric come along, hit my finger, and then it just felt like it makes you.
Am I the only person that's never touched an electric fence?
My mate pissed on one.
I was going to say, don't whiz on the electric
My mate
fence.
pissed on one thinking it wouldn't work. He was convinced he'd be safe. I was like, mate, don't. I was like, don't, seriously. Constant stream of water. Best fucking conductor known to man.
Don't whiz on the electric
And
fence.
it made
Ren
his...
Stimpy, anybody?
It made his bell end, bruised. It bruised his bell end.
Oh dear.
It shocked him, and fucking serious pain he was in for a long time.
Well,
But
just proves the theory of evolution.
yeah, he clearly hadn't. He hadn't evolved.
A kitchen sponge is a better environment for growing bacteria than a petri dish.
Probably, yeah.
yeah, that is believable, 100%.
Yeah. Now you're going to argue.
Nope.
No.
No, this one. Your farts smell better to you than anyone else. It's
Mine smell great to everyone.
Strange that.
weird, isn't it?
Eat my own biscuits. Nom 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 nom.
According to research from the University of Essex, the world's most boring person is probably a data analyst who lives in a small town and who enjoys watching TV.
Aren't you a data analyst, Mike?
I was, but they fired me. I was too boring.
Yeah, two of his work colleagues hung themselves.
And in the note, it was like,
In the office,
it was just because of Mike. He bored me to death.
I've done data input, but never data analysis.
Oh, that's alright then.
There is a restaurant in New York that only employs grandmothers as their chefs. The menu is set by the grandmothers in charge that night and consists of her family recipes.
It's kind of a
Nice.
good idea. My nan and my grandma were fucking awesome cooks.
Mine weren't.
No one made a roast dinner like my nan did. Oh, amazing. And she'd always cook it for 10 people. Because there'd always be us there on a Sunday, 5 of us. My other auntie and uncle would always come along with their kid or two. So it was always a good 10, 12 people. And it's always on point. Roasties, everything was always just amazing. Oh,
Yes.
fucking brilliant. Good idea, man. Definitely a good idea.
In the mid-1990s, Louisiana authorities put a parrot into witness protection.
Oh man.
The parrot had been previously owned by a crime boss and had seen some things and would occasionally talk about them.
Polly wants witness protection.
Big bag of coke. Big bag of coke.
Buried in the woods.
Sleeping with fishes.
Where's my gum and my ghoul? Hey.
And then this one, a 1940s Australian expression for surprise was stiffen the wombats.
Oh,
I
stiffen
heard
the
that.
wombats.
I heard that recently. What did I hear that on?
QI.
Wombats.
Maybe.
QI by any chance?
It was
Trevor,
some kind of
where's these
quiz
facts
show.
come from?
It was
It's a
some kind
secret.
of quiz.
Yeah, it probably was QI. Shall we call it a day then?
Yes, thank you very much for listening. I've been Ben. Don't do the favour, eh? Don't join a cult. And you can follow us on Facebook at Cunt of the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, YouTube at Apocalypse Bull, and SoundCloud and most of the platforms on Cunt of the Bull in the PTA. Cheers.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out. May the force be with you.
I've been Claire. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Everyone get your nans to cook for you. Send them back to work. Come on, get working in them restaurants.
One way to solve the pension crisis.
Yeah. Extra money when they pop their clogs as well. Cheers, Nan, for working extra hard.